Hello, so today we're going to make some pizza dough. We're going to make some pizzas. So Bill and I are going to be really excited today because we're going to have pizzas for lunch, which is really unusual. So if you take your packet of pizza dough and tip it in a bowl, and then the instructions on the back tell you what to do next. And it says, empty the pizza base into a mixing bowl and stir in the water. Now, I've got slightly warm water, but it is only slightly warm. And I need a spoon, don't I, for mixing. So you want a wooden spoon. So here's my wooden spoon. And it says you need 108 mils. Now, that is 100 mils. So I'm going to pour that in there, measure it. And I'm going to make a hole in the middle of my dough, so it's all spread around the outside and with a little dip in it. And then I'm going to pour that water in. That's 100. And then I've got, oh gosh, this is going to be complicated, isn't it? I've got a 5 mil, so that's 5. And then that's 1, 2, 2, 3. So I had, let's just check, 105 and then 3 1s. So that is 108. So I'm going to mix. Now that looks quite interesting. I'm going to mix the dough together. And it's getting quite sticky. My spoon, it's all sticking to the side of my spoon. Don't know if you can see that. It's looking a bit lumpy. That's how it's meant to look. And then you try and get it off the side of your spoon if you're me. Wash my hands beforehand, because you always wash your hands. And if your hair's going to get in the way, you might need to put your hair back. But today I've decided not to. I'm going to get my hands in there now because there's plenty of room. And I'm going to start squeezing it like this because bread likes being squeezed. So this is something they would have done in the New Testament times. When Jesus was alive, they would have made bread. So it doesn't look like there's enough water in there to me. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit more water in. There we go. I'm going to, perhaps my measuring wasn't as good as I thought it was. I'm going to put in a bit more water. So, or maybe it's just dry. So it was too dry and it wasn't squeezing, and I know what pizza dough is meant to feel like. So it's still slightly sticky and it's not too hard. That's what you want. Anyway, you want it to be squishy. Yeah, still not enough in there. There we go. I don't think my measuring is very good. I'm not one of those cooks that measures everything. As you can see, I do it according to feel and how it tastes. And they tell me that's the way best cooks do it, but I always am in a rush and I never do it very well unless the recipe says you've got to do it quickly. So I'm quite good at things like bread and pastry because you do it quickly. I'm very bad at things you've got to be patient on. I wonder if Phoebe was patient delivering that letter. She must have been, because she had to walk all the way. She didn't have a postman's van like ours, like Dave does. Dave's wonderful. He always delivers my mail really well. So now then, once you've done that, it says, can you see how sticky my hands are? See, that's about how sticky it needs to be. And you can see it's all in the bowl. And it's a bit squidgy, you can feel. Now, so what you need to do is to put it on the surface that you've wiped out well. Now, it is messy, but that's half the fun of making pizzas, is that you make a mess and then clean it up again. Now, it says to put flour on the surface, so if it's really sticky you will need some flour, but mine's just right because I've been feeling it as I've gone. So I really don't need any flour on the surface, so that's good news, isn't it? So my measuring might not be good, but my feel is right. Oh, that's my washing machine going off, you see. Often in the kitchen, it's such a busy place, there's lots going on. Now then. So what you've got now is a nice smooth dough, and you're meant to knead that for 5 minutes. So what I'm going to go and do is rescue the washing machine before it goes off again, and I'll come back to you in a minute, and I'll try not to get dough all over the phone. So I'm back now. The washing machine stopped beeping and the tumble dryer stopped making its noise, but you can still hear the oven in the background if you listen really carefully, because the oven is waiting for this pizza dough. So they say to knead it for 5 minutes. Now what they mean when they say knead it is, stick your knuckles in the bread. And as you do it, it stretches the dough and then the pizza will rise, which will be nice, just a little bit. And as you do it as well, you see how much your hands stop being quite so sticky. They're a bit cleaner now. There's no dough on the tumble dryer button or on the washing machine or on the washing. And my dough is nice and squidgy. This is the fun bit. Anyway, that's enough kneading. What do we do now? Well, we've got to put it in here, back in my bowl, and it looks like that. Oopsie daisy. It looks like that. So it's not very big, is it? I think you'll agree. You put it in somewhere warm. Now I've got somewhere warm in here. I'm going to sit it on a towel. But I've had to get my grill nice and warm because there's not much that's warm in the mouth. And you pop it in and you leave it to rise. So the dough will rise, and I'll show you that in a minute. Now, whilst you're waiting, you've got a job to do. You've got to start getting the topping of your pizza ready. So what do you like to eat? That's the question. What are you going to put on the top of your pizza? Well, today I'm going to use an onion. I'm going to use some mushrooms. And I'm going to use some sauce, ready prepared. And I'm going to use some cheese, lots of cheese. I love cheese. And I am going to use two things, which are a bit odd really. I'm going to use some olives, because I like olives. And I'm going to use some green beans. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put those in a frying pan. So you'll need to chop your onions really finely. So you can see I'm chopping. You'll need to wash your mushrooms. And you'll need to fry your green beans, and your olives can stay as they are, and then you need to slice your cheese. So I'll leave you and go and do that, and then I'll show you in a minute what I do next. So what we've got now is lots of chopped onions and some mushrooms and 2 green beans, and I'll show you what those 2 green beans are for in a minute. Ooh, here we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of oil in with them. You can use any type of oil you like. I use vegetable oil. That's because I grew up a vegetarian, not because you have to. And I'm going to get my less sticky wooden spoon. I'm going to get a fresh one, so we don't want dough in this bit. And whilst that dough is rising, hopefully, if I've got all the measurements right, and it was as sticky as it should have been, and what I'm going to do is I am going to fry. So I'm going to leave that frying and leave you for a little while, and I'll show you what it's like when it's done. Okay. So while I'm waiting for that to fry in the frying pan, I've got the lid on so it doesn't all spatter everywhere. I'm cutting some tomatoes. I'm going to cut 2 tomatoes in half. You can have a big tomato or a small tomato, but it's up to you what you do. I wonder if you can guess what that's going to be. And then I've got my 2 olives, like that. I wonder if you can guess what that's going to be. And I'm going to chop my cheese. You can't really see because I'm going to chop my cheese into nice thin slices. So you can have some cheese on top of the pizza. Now I like mine in slices. Some people like theirs grated, but I like to put them in slices because I don't know, it just gives me a better reason. So that's, you can see the steam coming out of there, can't you? So you can hear it sizzling away when I open the pan. And I'm just going to give them a bit of a stir because they're almost done. And when they're done, I think the pizza dough should be rising now. So not much longer and it will be done. So I'm going to love you and leave you. I'll show you them. There you go, I think they are done now. So that's what they look like when they're done. So I'm going to turn that off, put the lid on, put the tubes away. Now I'm making some cup of tea so we can have a cup of tea with a pizza. I don't know what you drink with your tea, your pizza. Do you drink orange juice or apple juice or water or a cup of tea like us? Now, there we go, put some milk in Bill's tea. Now this is my cat. My cat makes up for the fact I haven't got a real one. Now, I wonder if those pizzas are done. Shall we have a look in that oven? Let's have a see, shall we? Get my other gloves, because it's very hot in the oven. You need to turn it up when you're cooking. I think they could do with a bit longer. That's what it looks like so far. You can still see its hair. So I'm going to leave it in for a little bit longer. And the other one's not quite done either. But those pizzas will be done and we'll be eating them before too long. So let's just wait, shall we? Shall we have another look? Let's see, shall we? I'm getting hungry. It's lunchtime. Oh, steaming up my glasses. Can't get them out. There we go, there's one. Wonderful, that's definitely done. And the other one, there it comes. There we go. Right, so, can you see with Bill's pizza? I gave him some eyebrows and a nose. There you go, the mushrooms. Anyway, 2 pizzas, nicely cooked. I'm going off to have my lunch.